Rishabh Ghosh has a very important place in FOSS. Not only because he is one of the very few Indians involved in this research area. Right now he is not in India, but his major contribution is with starting an online journal called as First Monday. It's still running, First Monday. It is in this First Monday, Cathedral Bazaar was first published. It's a very important journal. You can see firstmonday.org. You will see some really interesting articles coming up there on FOSS if you are seriously interested. He is the editor of First Monday, Rishabh Ghosh. He was based in Delhi for a long time. Then he was offered a project by European Union to do a study on the extent of FOSS usage in Europe. He headed this group and is right now based in the UN University, Netherlands, where non probability I should have been there last year by this time. I was offered a place, I was all set to go, join the group. Now I'm staying here. The research reports published by his research group have given us some very interesting data regarding FOSS usage, especially in Europe. He is also important because he has introduced this. Instead of, he does not use the word FOSS. He prefers FLOSS, F-L-O-S-S, free, libre, open source software. French word. Rishabh Ghosh's research spans not only the economic dimension of FOSS, but also other interesting questions. It is interesting. I am not saying it's important for me. Personally, for me, it's not important. It's interesting, nevertheless, for people who want to know. For example, people want to know who is contributing. Who? You can find answers in Rishabh Ghosh. Who is contributing to FOSS? We have seen why people contribute. Who contributes to FOSS? The popular idea about free and open source developer is that he will be some person who is having long beard, seriously having problems with communicating with others, but a guy who sits in some dark room and with thick glasses and keep coding, looking at the screen continuously, kind of popular image is there. Rishabh Ghosh's research provides some pointers to break this myth of who contributes. People ask, people from which country contribute to FOSS more? Is one question which people want to know. Though personally I feel it should not be the question to ask. Because in our declaration itself we have said we will not discriminate anyone against country, race, gender and all. Why should we be interested? Let anybody contribute from any country. What is our problem? I am of that stand. But still people are curious and want to find out which country people contribute. Which country you think people contribute? Guess. Can you guess which country contributes more to FOSS? Which region? Country is very difficult. Which region contributes more to FOSS? Yes. Which region do you contribute? Not surprisingly, Europe contributes more. It's not surprising for me. Because in Europe there is See, if you want to really find out, go and analyze, I think there is a requirement of a certain kind of mindset for people to contribute. And that free thinking, openness kind of idea is there more in Europe rather than in US. Whatever people may say. US is a contributor but not as major as Europe. We don't get to listen more about Europe because they do in their own language and don't work more in a dominant world language like English. That's all. But the if you see the core contribution to FOSS, that is the GNU Linux kernel, it comes from Europe. Because there the language differences comes from. You are working at a kernel level. It comes from there. It's not surprising that countries like France and other places are much more open to the ideas of human rights and other things. There is a mindset which helps people get involved in such activities and contribute. So Rishabh Iyer Ghosh's research answered this very preliminary question of which country contributes more, which region contributes more. They all are majorly in European part. Not surprising. Second question which he answers is, people of what age group contribute? Again, this question is not important. Because the popular idea is that there are no teenagers contributing to FOSS and other things. Most popular idea. Because if you see any movie involving hacker and other things, they will all be teenagers. High school students, college going students and all. But it's not surprising that people who contribute to FOSS fall in the age group of mid-20s, who have concrete college education, unlike what people want to believe, and have some experience in writing industry grade code. That also I think is self-evident. Third question, Rishabh Iyer Ghosh was interested on whether male contributors are more or female contributors are more. Again, irrelevant question for me, but I hope the answer is self-evident. There should be more male contributors in FOSS, primarily because of the historical reasons. If you take math, science program everywhere, it is usually seen that the male population is more than the female population. Though I think the balance, the whole equation is nearing a kind of equilibrium. I don't know the gender ratio in your class, maybe it is 55-45, male to female. How much in your class? 55-45 kind of thing. It is improving. It's improving. When I was in college, we were 25 guys and only 5 girls were there. 25 guys and 5 girls. That was general trend. Now the base itself is expanded. The entry, what is the present strength? It has increased some 6 times. It's a huge intake. In our time, there were only 30 students in the class. So there was intense competition to get a seat. Of course, in the science, maths background, it comes in that way. So female population was less. But I think as time goes today, and I think in some branches, maybe the female population is actually more than the male population. In some courses, maybe there are. Architecture is always like that. Architecture is always like that there will be more females than males. But anyway, that I think is self-evident that there are more male. And one more thing which he found was that the white male were more dominant than colored male, which I think is not appropriate for discussion. One very interesting result from Rishabh Iyer Ghosh was, he asked the question of whether this popular image about hackers being nerdish and geekish is actually true. There is a subtle difference between this geek and nerd kind of mentality. I hope all of you understand. Whether they are single or married, very interesting for me. Rishabh Iyer Ghosh tried to answer this question and found that actually the scene is not that bad. It gives me some hope. That he found that actually majority of the hackers are actually married, and he actually gives the statistics that around 55% of the hackers are actually married and around 17% of them actually have more than one kid and all. So the point is to say that hackers are also normal human beings. In fact, there is actually a documentary telling hackers are humans also. So they are normal human beings, but they are hugely inspired by some philosophy, and so they are not. So Rishabh Bayer Ghosh research answers these kind of two questions. For more details, read his very detailed article. And then he also tries to answer the very familiar question first on why people contribute. And he also comes to almost same conclusions, that people contribute to FOSS mainly because they believe in certain philosophy. People do ask us whether we have to speak about philosophy, about free philosophy every time. I say yes, because ultimately if people don't know about philosophy, they will not contribute. I have to speak about Lerner and Tirole. I will do that in my next class tomorrow. So tomorrow we will meet and I'll finish off Lerner and Tirole's research. And since tomorrow is the last class before the first internals, I want everyone to take a first internal. All in 30. Which is happening next week or whatever. So if anybody has any queries to ask regarding the portions for the first internals, which is unit 1 and unit 2, you can clarify tomorrow. Okay?